On this week's episode of the Pit Crew podcast, we predict what will happen in the 2020 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to the Pit Crew podcast. My name's Ed. This is my co-host Dylan. And this weekend is the 2020 70th anniversary Grand Prix, which will be running at Silverstone. But as similar to Austria, they have given it a different name. Now, last weekend, if you've listened to our race report on that Grand Prix, saw a great race with exciting tyre choices. Well, not necessarily tyre choices, but exciting tyre action towards the end. And now Pirelli have said for this weekend that they're going to be softer compounds, I think. I don't think it's been confirmed, but they have spoken about that. So if we get softer compounds, may get a two-stop, may make it more exciting. Other news, Sergio Perez could be back, as the Home Office have said he has done enough isolation. And if his COVID-19 test comes back positive, he will race, which,
Negative.
Yeah, if it comes back negative. Did I say positive?
Yes, you said positive.
We don't want that. We don't want
No,
that.
we don't want that.
If it comes back negative, he can race. But I think that'd be really sad because I want to see Hulkenberg get at least one Grand Prix in that car. I mean, he likes it when he qualified in it, but it's just the luck of that man. He is so unlucky. Anyway, it's got the potential to be another decent Grand Prix. As I say, we're not complaining. F1 is back. That's all that matters. Anyway, we need to predict the team performance order. This is pretty normal, I reckon. You know, you're going to get Mercedes at the top, followed by Red Bull, followed by a cluster of Ferrari, McLaren, Racing Point, followed by a cluster of Renault, actually probably joining the Racing Point, McLaren, and Ferrari cluster now. They look quite strong last weekend, and then you've got the AlphaTauris, then you've got a little bit of a gap to Haas, and the rest of that lot competing for the lower end of the points. So that's pretty normal, I presume. You agree with that, Dylan?
Yes, I agree with that. The same usual stuff.
Yeah. Now we need to obviously predict qualifying. My top five, I'm going to say Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris. The only big surprise in there, probably Leclerc. I mean, he looked strong last weekend in the Ferrari. I mean, I know he came third because of Bottas's puncture and all of that, but he looked strong. So, you know, I'm hoping he can get a fourth place in that Ferrari. Obviously, Hamilton loves it here. Great carbs. Bottas, good at qualifying. We know his 1 lap pace. Verstappen always performs relatively well. And Norris, the McLarens were 5th and 7th last week. So I'm hoping for a repeat of that. That'll be good. Dylan, how do yours differ?
I put Hamilton in pole position, followed by Verstappen, Bottas, and Leclerc and Ricciardo. Because Ricciardo had a pretty good race last week, finishing 4th.
That's interesting. So you have put Verstappen above Bottas, which,
yeah.
As a Mercedes fan, I'm surprised to see. But, you know, Verstappen's got quite good 1 lap pace. But I'd say Bottas's strength is 1 lap pace. Although the race pace has been improving over 2020. We haven't had much evidence of that as we've had fewer Grand Prix. But, you know, we'll see that. Be interesting to see what he's like racing at new tracks such as Nürburgring. The one in Portugal, I can't remember the name for the life of me, and Imola. That'll be interesting to see how people get on there. But that's further down the line. Predictions for that. Yep. Magella. Is it Magella? I don't know.
I think it's Magella. I don't know.
I think it's Magella. Probably putting the Italian there. Leclerc, yeah, you agree with me. And Ricciardo, yeah, I could see Ricciardo there. The 2 Renault-powered cars, you know, they were close, and Renault made leaps and bounds of performance increase last weekend. Norris said he was surprised. Anyway, on to the race. Predictions for the podium. Hamilton to take, this weekend, like an 8th or maybe even a 9th win. I think it'll be his 8th. Is that right?
8th, yeah. I think it was the 7th last week.
I think it'll be his 8th British Grand win at Silverstone, not a British Grand Prix win, but 8th win at Silverstone, which is mad, really. And Bottas, I'm going to say in 2nd, because if you look at last weekend, if things had gone as they were supposed to, then it would have been easy Mercedes 1-2, and I'm going to say Leclerc to pit Verstappen because they battled here at the start of the race last weekend, and 2019 they had a cracking battle for a couple of laps. That was one of the highlights of that race. So I'm going to hope that Leclerc pips pits Verstappen to it. I'd like to see Leclerc up there. I don't want to see his career be not curtailed, it's not the right word, let down by Ferrari in such a stage where he should be improving as a driver at such a high-end team. He's got such a good chance. I just hope Ferrari can deliver. But he's scoring consistent podiums. He's doing quite well in it's rather like Fernando, bringing the best out of a bad car. Dylan, what do you think for the podium?
I think the same as you for the top two, but instead of Leclerc, I'm going to put Verstappen in third.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I
think he's slightly stronger.
I agree with you in saying that Verstappen is more likely to do that, but I like to do a wild card here and there, and then I can deploy the smug face if I behind my microphone when that happens, if I get more of the predictions right on Monday or whenever we go over our predictions next week after the Grand Prix. But I'd like to see Leclerc up there, but I can see it going either way, and obviously the Red Bull is a stronger car. Now, obviously, it's just kind of a necessity. We don't need to, it's not much up for debate this. Fastest lap, just going to go for Hamilton. He likes to get fastest laps even when his tyres are gone. Ultimate boy Red Wolf. Dylan?
I'm going to agree with that one. Hamilton, yeah.
Hamilton, fastest lap. Biggest disappointment of the race, can't say the Ferraris because I predicted one for podium. Hulkenberg not racing, that's a contender.
That'll be a big
one. What else? Williams not scoring points. I'm still rooting for them to score some points. Latifi coming in last. An unexciting race. That's not a word, unexciting. Anyway, I think biggest disappointment, boring. Yeah, boring. Better word than. There you go.
Yes.
Grammar king. But I think the biggest disappointment, from the looks of things, if it happens, could be Hulkenberg not racing. As I've said, I'd really like to see that man race, as he didn't get to last weekend. He's so unlucky. Dylan, what do you think will be a big disappointment of this weekend?
Well, I agree with you with all of it, pretty much. Williams will be the biggest disappointment, still not getting a point, because they've been close every time, pretty much.
Yeah.
And not seeing Nico getting his chance.
I think I've realised that
race.
Have Mercedes won each race this year?
Yes.
I'm just trying to think. I'm pretty sure they have. 5 out of 5. That'd be impressive to see. Be almost like a Brawn GP dominance, 6 out of 7 races. But yeah, what were you saying about biggest disappointment? I got distracted then. What was your biggest disappointment? Go over that again for me, please. Sorry.
Williams not scoring a point and not seeing Nico having a chance to race.
Yeah, they're two things that I've said. I agree with both of those. Biggest surprise, Leclerc on the podium. I'd say that'd be quite surprising in that Ferrari car. Maybe some Williams points. But I'm actually going to go with the Renault performance, because they performed surprisingly well last weekend. If they can consistently do that again, get both cars in the points. I don't know. They both got in the points, I think, last weekend. So that'd be really good. So I'm going to go Renault to do a surprise performance or another good performance at this weekend's Grand Prix. Dylan, what's your biggest surprise going to be for this weekend, do you think?
Biggest surprise for Leclerc going hopefully on the podium. Maybe on the podium. It's just being better than he was at the start of the season. Yeah. Showing that Ferrari.
And finally, will there be a safety car?
Yes.
Will there be a safety car? There were 2 last race. If we get a little contact between a Haas and a Red Bull, there's so many things to go wrong. I think the curbs have actually been increased in height this year. New curb and tyre barrier, I think, have been added. So I think the new curves may have thrown things off. So I think, will be a safety car. We're in agreement about that. Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of this week's predictions for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, which is happening over this weekend. The race will be on Sunday. We will be back on Monday or Tuesday for the predictions, for the race report on that Grand Prix, comparing what we predicted to how it happened in real life, and hopefully talking about a very exciting Grand Prix. For the meantime, though, I've been Ed.
And I've been Dylan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.